effective way. Right? So by going to primary emotion, I'm shifting the pattern. Right? So if I say, if I'm in anger, I'm going to stay like this. Right? But if I go, I'm really sad, like I'm aware of my sadness right now, my sadness is coming up for me, then my fist drop, I turn, and I say sadness, and then that initiates a new pattern and position of engagement. So we're trying to disrupt these rigid patterns. And part of the way we're disrupting the rigid patterns is we're finding the primary emotions that drive, right, the protest, right? So it's never angry, it's always something else. So in relationships, from an EFT attachment perspective, anger is always a secondary emotion and not a primary emotion, right? And so we're looking for these primary emotions. Secondary emotions are the more reactive emotions, such as anger, jealousy, resentment, and irritability. They occur as a reaction to the primary emotions. So primary emotions drive things, and then secondary emotions are reactions to the primary emotions. Okay, so now we're going to go back to our, is that the next slide? All right, okay. Primary emotion is here. Secondary emotion is here. It's my emotional response to not getting my primary emotional attachment needs met. So back up, right? So this fits in compounding distress, right? This fits in secure-based attachment sequences. So couples who are stuck in rigid patterns are in states of compounding distress. Where things are rigid, driven by fear and anger, and they're compounded, and the emotions of compounding distress are emotional reactions to primary emotions. Right? So we call them secondary emotional reactions to primary emotions. Woo! Take a deep breath. This is a lot, right?
And it might be on the next slide coming, but fear, protection, loneliness, caring. Can you go through the other ones?
Attachment needs?
Yeah, like shame. But
yeah, what does shame ask for?
On your next slide.
Is that on my next slide? Oh yeah, okay. Anger often leads to asserting, defending. Sadness often leads to seeking support, withdrawing. Surprise, excitement often leads to tending, exploring. Disgust, shame leads to hiding, expelling, avoiding. Fear often leads to freezing, feeling, giving up. Joy, connecting, engaging. So you see that the emotions prime the behaviors. But you're talking about the attachment needs, right?
yeah.
Okay, so we'll go back. So what is sadness looking for?
Comfort.
Comfort, very good. What is hurt looking for? Hurt's interesting. Hurt is a combination of two primary emotions. Actually, hurt is an invitation of anger with, I'm so hurt. I feel sad. So hurt is a combination of sadness and anger. Okay, so it has a little hint of anger.
Beth Russell produced a handout that's all about this. I could bring it.
Yeah, that'd be great. Awesome.
Yeah, that's really articulate about this whole thing.
What does fear ask for? Protection, shame, acceptance and loneliness, comfort. Yeah. Okay, so if you say, well, how are you feeling? I'll say, I just feel really sad. Then what's your clue? I need comfort. And what happens if I protect you in your sadness?
Attachment grows. The secure attachment grows.
If I protect you in your sadness, is it a match?
No.
No, it's not, right? An attuned attachment figure knows specifically how to respond with an appropriate attachment response based upon the attachment clue, right? And so if I look scared and you're offering me comfort, is that a match? No, right? So that's misattunement. So there's misattunement. Now, if everything is anger or irritability or resentment or jealousy, then there's lots of opportunity for misattunement because it's another layer up, right? If I'm putting off radar signals and like around me are the primary emotions, right? And then around that are the secondary emotions. And so Valerie's around the secondary emotions, right? That's all she sees. How in the world is she going to get the unmet attachment needs? Right? Because her emotions are secondary emotion responses to the primary emotions that are being threatened, that are emerging based on unmet attachment needs. Right? So let's say she breaks through that layer. We help her break through that layer as therapists. We go, I'm not sure if it's anger, I wonder if it's, and then she sees sadness, right? And so then she's closer with her radar to what our unmet attachment needs. But then if she misinterprets it, is misattuned to sadness and offers me protection, then I'm still feeling unknown. It's that fine-tuned, right, awareness of you're saying sad, therefore I need to provide you comfort. And once I provide you comfort, then the unmet attachment need is no longer there. And that's what drives the entire dance. Right? So where couples stay stuck is they stay stuck in secondary emotional responses. They're responding to secondary emotional responses, and they can't even get into the middle of the radar screen to be able to figure out how it is that I need to respond because I'm in compounding distress all the time. The primary emotions generally draw partners closer. Secondary emotions tend to push partners away. Yes.
So how soon do you see it? Can you see it in the first session?
Oh yeah, you can see secondary emotions all over the place because people are in compounded distress and they have emotional responses to the other emotions, right? And sometimes those other emotions haven't been responded to well, right? They haven't had competent responses, or they have a history of primary emotions not being responded to well, or they have a history of all emotions not being shared. Okay, so what's worse than secondary emotions being displayed? Primary emotions, secondary emotions, what's worse than that? No emotions, right? Talk about flying completely blind. That's the next layer out, is no emotions. No emotions, secondary emotions, primary emotions, unmet attachment needs, right? So if I'm not sharing emotion at all, then I'm just like, I have no idea what to do here. I have no clue. You're flat and you're distant, and that gives me no information to know how to negotiate this relationship. Now, there's no way I'll be able to meet your attachment needs because I have no idea. Emotion primes, right? It reveals, okay? It reveals our attachment needs and it primes our behavioral responses. Does it make sense, right? Does it all come together? Okay.
Can loneliness sometimes be need for acceptance too?
Sure. Yeah, loneliness is an interesting one. Loneliness is almost always associated with compounded distress. So this is how I would say, if I were to say this: shame and loneliness, fear and loneliness, hurt and loneliness. They would never go alone. Because in compounded distress, there's non-accessibility, right? And non-accessibility is loneliness.
I would say a lot of them are very idiosyncratic too. It totally depends on the story of the individual, how they match up. Most of the time what you say, maybe other than just shame and acceptance, but a lot of them are different.
Sometimes.
What do you think?
I think there's some consistency in the attachment need, but sometimes they can represent something else. Yeah. Okay. All right. So we went through that one. Okay, so again, primary emotions are at this level. All right. So threat comes. My primary emotional response is I'm scared, and I communicate that to you. My fear primes a caregiving response in you. You come to me, you offer me protection, right? And then I go around, and then the attachment system is deactivated. So this is secure base. You're trustworthy enough. I believe that you care for me. I can offer you vulnerable primary emotions. One, I'm aware of them, right? Which is a problem, right? But I can't get aware of them. And two, I can communicate them, right? And three, my partner is sensitive enough to those emotions that they respond appropriately, right? They don't miss a tune to what those emotions mean, right? So emotions are the clues. But if I come at you, if I come at you with compounding distress, then I'm coming at you with secondary emotional responses to unmet attachment needs at this level. And so now I'm irritable, and I'm angry, and I'm jealous, and all these emotions, all these secondary emotions, put back that slide. Resentment, irritability, jealousy, anger, right? I feel all those things because I'm in compounded distress. And then you move to hyperactivating, I move to deactivating. And this is where our cycle stays, right here, the rigid constricted cycle that Valerie and I were showing you at the beginning. It was a cycle of compounded distress. Okay, you guys' brains about to explode? Okay, let's take a deep breath. All right, take this in. Let's pause for a second. What questions do you have? Or you have so much that you don't know what to ask?
Is this gonna become, because for me, there's so much to take in. I'm not knowing how to apply this
Yeah.
when I go back. And so I'm a little activated by this, triggered by this, and that I'm like, I have this like cheat spreadsheet and I don't have enough room for it because I don't know how to remember to take all of this.
Okay, you're not gonna be able to take it to your clients yet. That's why we're gonna spend 3 weeks on this, to help you absorb it even more. Okay, gotta let it sink in, and then we'll go back over it, and we'll keep reconnecting things.
Well, can I say something?
Yeah.
One thing that we were just talking about before the class, because I feel like my job to like serve you guys is to like remember what it was like just a couple of years ago when I was sitting in your chair. And what I was really feeling a minute ago before class was that I wish we could practice more students, like that I could go back into a clinical setting and sit with my clients, my couples, and be able to talk to them about this is what, like to distinguish between primary emotion and secondary emotion. Like even if you could just walk away, maybe not even tonight, but next time, that part, and be able to have a frame around all of their anger. I don't even know that like resentment and jealousy, blah, blah. With my couples, it's anger, right?
Right.
They're mad. And for me to be able to validate and reflect that and to have an alliance between both of them and to calm them through their anger and to walk them into softer emotions, I mean, that right there is huge, I think. So I think that would be something that if we could put our finger on that one thing and help you guys do that well, I mean, that probably took me 6 months to do well. And if we could do that as for you guys as students to feel like you could like put your fingers on that, like, that would be really cool.
Well, and what it specifically looks like, sounds like.
So yeah, we can see
You know
talking
what
about
I-
that too, Dr. Fry. We
Yeah.
can get them into
Yeah,
groups.
right.
Yeah.
It'll go down to withdrawal, engagement, blame, or softening.
Yeah, we're gonna do that in a second.
Is what it is. But we'll show a video in a minute. We're gonna watch Sue Johnson move from secondary emotion to primary emotion, and then watch what it does to the position and patterns. Okay, so we'll do a little bit of watching to help make sense of this. Okay, well, I'll pause it and I'll say, look, see, she shifted from secondary emotion to primary emotion. Okay. All right, emotional instrumental. This is the last emotion. You have primary emotion, secondary emotions, then you have emotional instrumental responses. These are learned emotional responses, like crying when you get pulled over to get out of a ticket. Right? These aren't actually authentic emotions. These are emotions that are in place to manipulate situations. Okay. Crying to produce empathy. They're expressed to achieve a needed outcome. Right? This happens in therapy too, for sure. Okay. It's you.
Okay, so so this just kind of builds on what we've already been talking about. The problems are maintained by ongoing negative interactions resulting in rigid patterns and positions. So basically, it's like the best way to describe this truly is that like couples, it's like they learn these dance moves, and they get to where they just get into these really, really rigid patterns of interaction, where one does one thing and another does another thing and then they just go on and on and on. The content changes, but they get into these really, really rigid ways of being together. And so it's almost like they follow these rigid ways of being and they don't even know how to be different with one another. And it's like the couple is like a thermostat, that they stay at the same temperature all the time, even though both of them recognize on some level that they're very, very unhappy. But they don't know how to move out of it. So the way he described what we were just doing over there in the little role play thing is a perfect example of that. So they get rigid, they stay in their patterns and positions, and they don't know how to get out of them. So the patterns are scripted. They're based on their unmet attachment needs and their fears. And their partner's position in the cycle reflects their experiences, not only in their primary relationships, so they definitely can speak to their family of origin relationships, but I think they also can go deeper into their own experiences within the couple. So if they have their own painful experiences inside of that partnership, that can prime new rigid ways of reacting inside of that relationship that just sort of further entrenches them in deeper ways and deeper patterns. And so they just keep doing the same dance moves over and over and over again. And so our job is to sort of help them recognize what it is that they're doing. And the way that Sue Johnson she uses the infinity thing all the time, is that you do this, your behavior leads to this feeling, which leads to, so it's the behavior leads to this action, which leads to the thought, the feeling, the behavior, the action, the thought, the feeling, and on and on and on. And she kind of helps them recognize it, and then she actually kind of turns it over to them and sort of gives them the opportunity to actually articulate back to her this is what you're doing, and she's slowly